All right, so today we're gonna do an S24 Ultra day in the life review. It's 3 months after this phone has come out. I've been using it this whole time. So I'm gonna talk about all the new features, the AI, and I'm going to focus on things that actually matter for real users.
And thank you to Best Buy for sponsoring a portion of this video.
One of those practical differences that I noticed right away is how much less reflective the screen is. So yes, it's brighter, it's 2700 versus 1750 on the S23 Ultra, but whether we compare it to the Pixel 8 Pro or the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you can see that it does a much better job at sort of hiding those reflections. You could still see them, but they're definitely less visible. So while I do notice the brightness difference from the previous model, it's really the fact that it's less reflective that makes a bigger difference when I'm actually using the phone. All right, it was now time to get some coffee. So I took a quick drive over to Biggby Coffee, get myself some sort of sugar coffee drink to keep me up and running. Now this year we got an update for the design. So while the S24 Ultra is essentially the same size as the previous model, the display is now completely flat without losing the rounded edges, so the phone still doesn't dig into your hand. Now, the display is really nice when you're using the S Pen, and also for users like me who typically put a screen protector on their phone because, well, because I dropped my phone. Now, having said that, I have dropped this phone a couple of times without a case or a screen protector, and the Corning Gorilla Armor and the new titanium frame held up great. And since I brought up the S Pen, it's a really handy feature for users who want to take notes, for marking up documents. You can use it with any of the air commands, and it's also nice for capturing photos or screenshots.
All right, so it's 4:27 right now, and we're at 79%. I've been using the maps, listening to YouTube while I'm driving, and so far we're doing pretty well.
Now, normally I'm not someone who uses the stylus a lot because most of the time I have a larger tablet with me. And if you're willing to give up on some of the features of the Ultra, or if this phone is just too big for you and you find it hard to use with one hand, you can always check out the S24 Plus. Now, one fun way to use the S Pen is with the new Circle to Search feature, which Samsung offers in partnership with Google. Basically, you can circle anything you see on the screen. So while looking at photos or even watching video, and then the S24 Ultra will quickly identify it and show you Google results for it. So if you think about it, instead of having to try to describe an item in text and then going through hundreds of Google results or image results, you can just let the phone do all the work for you. And just to be clear, you don't need the S Pen for that. You can actually use your finger to circle the object as well. As far as cameras, we're getting a main 200 megapixel camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then two telephoto cameras, a 3x 12 megapixel and a 5x 50 megapixels, which replaces the 10x 10 megapixel on the S23 Ultra. So in essence, we're losing optical zoom on that telephoto lens, but we're gaining resolution. And practically speaking, if you're shooting at exactly 10x, if that's the exact zoom that you're shooting at, then the S23 Ultra is very slightly better. Then essentially for any other zoom, the S24 Ultra comes out ahead. And if you want to see a dedicated comparison with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'll link to that video at the end of this one. Overall, the S24 Ultra camera system is excellent. It has very good dynamic range, and it does a good job at maintaining details in the shadows and the highlights of photos. For example, check out the coffee cup in this photo and look at how much brighter it is in the S24 Ultra photo. Night shots do a great job at handling bright objects, and video quality has also been improved. Now, the one area where I still notice it struggle as a point and shoot is with an occasional yellow cast, which is sometimes noticeable on skin tones. And again, if you want to see more, check out the camera comparison.
And one of my favorite things that Samsung is doing has to do with them creating a complete ecosystem of products with laptops, tablets, and wearables like the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6. I'm a super active person. I work out every day. So tracking fitness metrics like exercise duration, distance, and calories burnt, especially when I'm on the go, is super important to me. The Galaxy Watch 6 automatically recognizes and tracks most of the activities that I do, like swimming or rowing, and it manually tracks over 90 other exercises, all while keeping me up to date with important notifications for texts and phone calls. The Galaxy Watch 6 can also scan my health data to provide personalized heart rate zones. It has sleep tracking, so I can make sure that I get the right amount of rest. I love the slimmer profile, the larger display with thinner bezels, and the versatility to stream and control music right from my watch. So if you're an active person like me, if you're a busy mom who's always on the go, and if you're looking for a perfect Mother's Day gift, you can save up to $80 on the Galaxy Watch 6. And thank you to Best Buy for sponsoring this portion of the video.
Now, there are a few other AI features that I wanted to mention because I find myself using them, but let's first take a look at the battery life, which is currently at 74%. So starting out, there are a few translation tools that I think are super cool. You can use Live Translate, which lets you have near real-time voice and text translations of phone calls, so you can actually have a conversation with someone who's speaking another language. Chat Assist can either translate a chat for you or even completely change the writing style to a professional, casual tone, and then a few other options. There's also a photography upgrade with Generative Edit, which uses AI to move, remove, or resize people and objects, and then fill in any gaps in the background. You can also rotate an image and then have the AI fill in the remaining area. In either case, the phone adds an AI watermark on the bottom just to note that the image was altered. And of course, we still have Magic Eraser, which can help you with removing shadows, reflections, or unwanted objects from your photos. You can also have Galaxy AI read and then summarize an entire web page for you, which is great for those long articles. Now, a lot of people talk about performance in the context of peak performance on benchmark tests, but I think it's just as important, if not more important, to talk about performance in the context of like real life use, and then also how it impacts battery life. And in this case, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip for Galaxy with its higher clock speeds does a really good job. There hasn't been a single thing that I've done in a typical day where I felt like I don't have enough power, and at the same time, battery life, which we'll get to later on, has been pretty good. So we talked a little bit about the display earlier on, but in terms of image quality and brightness, it's absolutely outstanding. You can have it set to an adaptive 120 Hz or a fixed 60 Hz if you want even longer battery life, and I pretty much always leave mine on 120 Hz because I really like the more responsive feel. Now, watching movies or playing games on this display is awesome. The colors pop, the display is super crisp and sharp, and I like that you can control the resolution and that you can change the screen mode from natural to vivid and even have more granular control to get the look that you like best. And speaking of watching content, the speakers are also really good for a phone. Now, I'm someone who pretty much always uses headphones, but if you do use the speakers on your phone, you'll be happy with these. For biometric authentication, we're getting a new ultrasonic under-display fingerprint sensor, which has been extremely fast and accurate for me. Now, moving on to multitasking, I love the continuity features that Samsung has been introducing lately. I love the fact that you can copy and paste links and text across devices, and those types of integrations really make the entire Samsung ecosystem more complete. You can easily use two apps at the same time on the S24 Ultra because of the larger display, and if you want to really turn it into a desktop or laptop replacement, you can go ahead and turn on DeX mode, which is super cool. I needed a little bit of a break, so I decided to stop by the house and shoot some B-roll of the Galaxy Watch 6. And I went ahead and used the S24 Ultra to control my motorized slider. Now, something else that's super great is that Samsung is now offering 7 years of security and One UI updates, but then on top of that, you're also getting 7 years of Android updates, and that's actually more than Google offers. And what's really great here is that if you go ahead and invest the money in this top-end hardware, you're going to be able to use it for years, and you're not going to have to upgrade your device just to get security or any other kind of update. Now, if you're thinking of buying one of these, you're looking at $1,299 for the 256 gigabyte model, at least in the US, and that's $100 more than the S23 Ultra was when it was released. And if you need more storage than that, then there is a 512 gigabyte model for $1,419, and then a 1 terabyte version for $1,659. All right, since I had some time before it got dark outside, I decided to take a break and play a couple of hours of PUBG. I did all right. I did all right. I normally play on a tablet, so I'm less used to playing on a smaller screen. But again, like I said before, the S24 Ultra display is amazing. And I was playing at HDR and Extreme, which took a pretty big toll on the battery life. All right, so we're now towards the end of the day and the battery is at 37%. Now, to be totally honest, battery life is not really the most important deciding factor for me when I choose a phone, because most of the time I do have opportunities throughout the day to at least get a few minutes here and there of charging. And when I don't, I bring a battery pack with me, but I know that that's not true for every user. So on a typical day, I can get between 8 and 10 hours of battery life. That's assuming that I'm not spending, 3 to 4 hours playing games. Today I played for about an hour and a half, and like I said, I'm still at 37%. The S24 Ultra can charge wirelessly at 15 watts and then at 45 watts when wired. And a super cool feature that it has is wireless power sharing. Basically, if you turn it on, then you can go ahead and use the back of the phone to charge either another phone, headphones, or even my Galaxy Watch 6. And that's a super nice and handy feature to have when I'm in a bind. So after 3 months of using the S24 Ultra, what do I think? It could actually be the best Android phone on the market right now if you're looking for a complete package of top tier hardware, software, and support. And I'm curious to know which phone you want me to compare it with. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.